guys, this is 4Paws with HTTL, bringing you a video on trading in lane. A trade is basically when you and the enemy champion attack each other and trade damage. The winner of a trade is the one who deals the most damage and receives the least. There are a few types of trades. In basic ones are a free trade, often called free harass. This is when you damage the enemy without taking any damage back, or they damage you without having any damage returned to them. This can also be referred to as poking. A normal trade, where both of you take damage. And auto-attack trades. This is when you run up to the opponent and auto-attack him as he tries to last hit one of your minions. This normally results with a free attack on them and you can escape before they can respond. Remember that ranged champions can auto-attack harass against melee champions easily. To counter the ranged champion auto-attacking you when you are the melee champion, you should try to use the brushes as often as possible. On how you should trade, it is very much down to context. Each champion deals damage and plays in a different way, but I'll simplify it down to two types of trade. A burst trade and a sustain trade. A burst trade is when you use a skill that will deal a lot of damage and run away. A good example of this is Olaf's reckless swing. The idea of a burst trade is that you do as much damage as you can in a small time frame, so that the enemy doesn't get to respond. A sustain trade is when you commit to a small skirmish. This includes use of auto attacks and multiple skills. Aurelia is a good example, as she will activate a hit in style and do true damage for a small amount of time on her auto attacks. Note that some champions can switch between these two styles of trade. Jax is an example of this, as he can use his Empower then Leap Strike to do a burst trade, whilst he can also do a Leap Strike, proc his ultimate passive, then Empower, and run away to do a sustain trade. Also, just because I refer to trade as a burst trade, this doesn't mean it deals more damage than a sustain trade. Usually sustain trades hurt more, as more attacks are dealt. Your understanding of all the champions in the game will decide how good at trading you are. I cannot possibly make a video containing every single champion matchup, so I'm afraid that you'll have to learn this with experience. Upon learning the champions, you'll find certain ways to counter trades. Some are more obvious, for example Jax can counter strike as he runs away to avoid auto attack damage, but others have more variables and can be really fun to pull off. Aurelia's Equilibrium Strike allows for some fun trade usage. One example is as Aurelia you let Olaf burst trade you with Reckless Swing and then counter it with Equilibrium Strike, as it will now stun him. Pull off some free hit and style auto attacks and walk away winning the trade, or at least evening it. Again, to understand what the most optimal trade is and when you should do it, you need to understand your own champion and the enemy champion. I recommend playing every top lane champion once to get a feel for them, or at least look into them on a wiki page or a guide. This concludes the basic outlining of trading in lane. It can be complex to start, but once you gain the knowledge of the champions, you'll start to outplay your foe and dominate your lane. This has been 4Paws, good luck top laners.